finale is based on the true story of a group of Israeli secret agents that go into Buenos Aires in Argentina. They find out that the architect of the Holocaust, Adolf Eichmann, has been hiding out there, and they go in to capture him and bring him to justice in Israel. But Adolf Eichmann thinks that he should be tried in either Germany or some other European country where these atrocities happened. Now, when it comes to a historical drama like this, I'm usually in for them. I understand that there's going to be historical inaccuracies, but my big question with movies like this is whether or not these stories have to be told. And I think that this one is one of those. It is a very important part of history. It's a very dour part of history, but it is definitely something that I think needs to be told and taught. For people who don't know the story of what happened exactly after World War II, I mean, this movie takes place in 1960, and what happened with Eichmann's capture, they're going to know a little bit more despite some historical inaccuracies. Ben Kingsley himself is 74, whereas when Eichmann was captured in 1960, he was 54. So there's a 20-year age difference there, but that's not the point. The point is to try and make a good movie, and I really enjoyed Operation Finale. This is a very good historical drama. It's very tense, it's psychological, it's got some really great performances, and probably Chris Weitz' best directing job I have seen to date. This movie is a very well-directed movie. It's a very well-written movie as well, and I gotta commend everybody that was in charge of this movie. Again, I'm going to reiterate, there are definitely some historical inaccuracies. You have to take artistic licenses when you are adapting stories like this for the big screen that happened in real life. Not everything is going to be accurate. How much of this is inaccurate, I'm not sure. I just know that the age difference between Ben Kingsley and the real Adolf Eichmann is 20 years. That's really all I know. Whether or not all of this actually happened is up for debate. I would assume that probably 90% of this happened, and the other 10% was used for artistic license to do whatever the filmmakers felt and whatever the screenwriter felt made a better movie. I was just blown away. This movie caught my attention right away, right from the get-go. And sometimes these historical dramas don't really do that for me. Darkest Hour, I've tried to watch Darkest Hour about 7 times and I can't get into it. There's some other ones that I really can't get into. This is one of those ones where I was hooked right from the beginning. The opening scene with Oscar Isaac and a bunch of other Israeli agents just doing something. And I was like, whoa, this is the type of movie that we are in for. What happens is a very intense game. Once they get into Argentina, it's a very cat and mouse psychological game back and forth between Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley, and it is so intense and just so riveting and so nerve-jangling. It really keeps you on the edge of your seat for the entire movie, and I really commend the movie for that. The performances in this movie are great. They did a really good de-aging technique with Ben Kingsley in this movie. That de-aging technique is definitely coming in handy these days. Oscar Isaac gives a really good performance here. Nick Kroll from The League, wow, he really stepped up his game. Haley Lou, that's a tongue-tying name. Haley Lou Richardson, really good in this movie. Melanie Laurent, really good. Everybody gives a really good performance, and this movie is very beautifully shot. It is very beautifully edited. I think it's a story that really engrossed me. It caught my attention right away, and everything that ensued, I was always interested in trying to figure out how they were going to pull off this task, this way of trying to capture Eichmann. It was a huge puzzle for me, and I was trying to figure out, well, if they fail, they're gonna have to figure out some way to do it. I don't know how they would do it. The dude that plays Eichmann's son, he's really good. That's probably the part of the movie where I don't know if that's historically accurate. That's probably in there for an artistic license to help tell a story. And I'm okay with I'm okay with historical inaccuracies. They're there to tell a story, they serve the story, that's fine. Made for a very good antagonist throughout the movie. Whenever he pops up with his band and brigade of former Nazi officers, stuff starts to go down. That's when it gets nerve-jangling. There are times where this movie feels like it's a 6 out of 10 movie, and then it jumps from a 6 to an 11, And that's what I really liked about this movie, even though this is a very slow-paced movie, especially in the middle. I'll talk about that in a minute. It does keep you intrigued throughout its entire runtime. That's a big compliment to a movie like this. That means the filmmakers are doing their job. They're telling the story that they want to tell. They know that this happened in history. They know that they have to portray this right to do justice to those involved. And they did a really good job with this movie. My only issue with this movie really lies within the pacing in the second act. I think in the first act and the third act, the pacing is perfect. And those two acts, to me, are perfect. The second act is, while interesting, there's a lot of dialogue that happens, very important dialogue that happens, mind you. But I think there's a bit too much at times. To me, in the second act, a lot of the second act is just people sitting around having conversations. Nothing really gets progressed much further in the second act. I feel like everything kind of gets progressed in the first act, and then that progresses into the second act. But the second act doesn't really progress into the third act all that much. And that's a big letdown for this type of movie. It's just a lot of people sitting around, talking, trying to get Eichmann to sign this paper. That's what it is. That's really the gist of the second act. There were a couple of scenes in the second act where I was starting to fall asleep, where I was kind of zoning out, and I didn't miss anything. That's all it was. It was just trying to get him to sign this paper. But really riveting first act, really riveting third act. It's just the second act, while still really good, just had to be focused up just a touch more. It relied too much on dialogue, I think. And other than that, that's really my only complaint with this movie. I mean, this isn't like a great movie or anything. I mean, that's really the big issue I have with this movie, is the pacing in the second act. Can't really think of anything else to really knock off on this movie. I really enjoyed Operation Finale. I think this is an important story that has to be told. It's a very well-directed movie, very well-shot movie. It's seamlessly edited. It's got a riveting first act, a riveting third act, with great performances from everyone across the board. It's just that second act kind of dwindles a little bit. It's kind of dour, a little slow. The entire movie is slow, but it's full of a lot of tension. And that's what I like about this movie. I'm going to give Operation Finale an A-. Really liked Operation Finale. I think I'm going to like it a lot more than a lot of people. But that's just me. I really like these historical dramas and movies that are based on true stories. I really like to see what they do with them. Not all of them are great, but luckily this was one of the better ones. And I think the filmmakers really did do those involved justice. Guys, that's my review of Operation Finale. Thank you for watching. I'll have more reviews coming your way soon. You guys are the best. I will leave all my links to my social media accounts in my website link down below in the description. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, a certified G and a bona fide stud.